Welcome back to our investigation into one of true crime history's most perplexing and haunting cases. Jeff Dahmer's story, infamously known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, reads like a chilling legend, but is entirely fictional. After countless hours of meticulous research and investigation, we're pulling apart the threads of this dark narrative to uncover the shocking reality behind the myth, leading us to one undeniable conclusion. Jeff Dahmer is innocent. Today, we're diving deep into more compelling inconsistencies that shake the foundation of Jeff's confession and the entire investigation. One of the confession's first major inconsistencies centers around the alleged victim, Matt Turner. Jeff claims he met Turner at the 22nd Chicago Pride Parade on June 30th, 1991, dismembered him, and stored his head in the freezer with the rest of his body in a 57-gallon barrel. However, Turner's story starts to crumble under scrutiny. The Milwaukee police claimed to lift a fingerprint from Turner's body over 3 weeks later, after Jeff's arrest. But forensic science in 1991 tells a different tale. Could such a feat have been possible with the technology then? Our research says no. In fact, it wasn't even feasible over 2 decades later. This article and excerpt reveal that the issue persisted as recently as 2016. Here's another twist. The confession states Jeff stored Turner's remains in a 57-gallon blue barrel purchased on July 12, 1991. But Turner was allegedly killed nearly 2 weeks prior. How could this be? And what about the barrel salesman who had a completely different timeline? Watch as during his court TV testimony, Kawali recounted the eventful day. He sold Jeff the barrel on July 12, 1991.
Raise your hand. Promise swear all testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth shall be God.
I do.
Please be seated, sir. And then would you state your name, spelling your last name, please?
Name is Kyle Dean Whaley, W-H-A-L-E-Y.
And Mr. Whaley, how are you employed?
I'm employed at Illing Company.
At Illing Company?
Illing Company.
Could you spell that?
I-L-L-I-N-G.
And how long have you been employed with that company?
About 11 months.
What's the nature of that business?
It's a container packaging business. We sell industrial shipping containers.
And what's your duties with that company?
My duties are sales service manager, like an inside salesperson.
And during the course of your employment with that company, did you have occasion to come in contact with someone you now know as Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes, I did.
Can you identify him by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
We'll stipulate to the identification.
Okay.
Very well.
Do you recall what date you met with Mr. Dahmer on?
I believe it was July 12th,
Of what year?
91.
And when was your first contact with him on that day?
It was approximately 9:30 in the morning by phone.
And what was the subject of your conversation?
I was interested in purchasing some kind of container drum of some sort.
Did he say what he was going to use this container or drum for?
At that point in time, no.
Okay. Did his question seem fairly intelligent?
Yes, I did.
Did you give him a price range of what sort of drums you had?
I believe I did, yes.
And did he seem satisfied? Did he ask any other questions that you were...
He wasn't quite sure what he really wanted at the point in time, so he said he might come down and take a look at some of the drums we discussed about on the phone.
Did there come a time when he showed up at your office?
Yes, he did.
About when was that?
Approximately 2 hours later, about 11:30 in the morning.
And that's on July 12th, 1991?
That's correct.
When he showed up, How did you know it was Jeffrey Dahmer?
Somebody called me from the warehouse and said that somebody was there inquiring about a drum, said they had called this morning, so I assumed that that was the gentleman I spoke to.
And at that time, did you meet him?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice anything strange about him when you met him?
No, not at all.
When you met him, what did you do?
He introduced himself, and we talked about the conversation we had about the drums, and at that point in time, we went over to another warehouse, and I showed him some of the drums we were discussing.
Approximately how many different drums did he look at?
The most specific drums he was inquiring about were 10-gallon open-head industrial drums.
Okay, what's an open head drum?
An open-head is a drum that has a lid that fits on top. It's not a closed drum.
What's a closed drum?
It is like a tie head, like a 55-gallon steel drum or plastic drum is all one piece. An open head is two-piece.
And did the two of you discuss the relative merits of each drum you looked at?
First, we looked at the 10-gallon drums. He said that that was not sufficient size. At that point in time, we went to the other warehouse where I showed him some larger size drums.
And did he appear to understand the difference between the drums that you were showing?
Yes, he did.
Did he eventually select one?
Yes, he did.
And did he end up paying for it?
Yes, he did.
How did he pay for
He
it?
paid for it by cash.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 71. Can you tell me what that is, please?
That's a bill of lading on the sale that was made there at Elling Company,
And whose handwriting appears on that bill of lading?
Jeff Dahmer's.
And does your handwriting appear on it as well?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. And were you present when he was writing on that bill of lading?
Yes, I did.
And is that a document used in the ordinary course of business for the Elling Company?
Yes, it is. That's a tendered bill of lading for sale.
And is that the bill of lading you filled out on, that you saw Mr. Dahmer fill out on July 12th, 1991?
Yes, it is.
I will stipulate this.
So, where was Turner's body during those 2 weeks of summer heat? It gets stranger. If the mysteries weren't deep enough, Jeff reportedly bought 16 gallons of muriatic acid on July 20th, 1991, just 2 days before his arrest. Why wait so long? Watch salesman Steve Altman's court TV testimony.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear all the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated, sir. Would you state your name, spelling your last name, please?
Name is Steve Altman, A-L-T-M-A-N.
Mr. Altman, how are you employed?
I am employed at National Ace Hardware.
And how long have you been employed by National Ace Hardware?
8 months.
And what are your duties there?
I am the paint department manager.
And where is National Ace Hardware located?
1303 North 4th Street.
And is that in the city and county of Milwaukee?
Yes, sir.
In the course of your employment, did you have occasion to come in contact with someone you now know as Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Is he seated in the courtroom now?
Yes, sir.
Stipulate to identification.
Do you recall what date it was that you had contact with Mr. Dahmer?
July 20th of 91.
Okay. And what day of the week was that?
A Saturday.
And what was your first contact with Mr. Dahmer on that day?
Earlier in the day, about 10 a.m., I had received a phone call from
And what was the substance of that conversation?
he wanted to know if we had carried muriatic acid and in quantities.
And did you fill him in on that?
Yes, I notified him that we did carry quantities of it.
Did he ask for a specific quantity?
16 gallons.
And did you have that?
Yes, we did.
And what did he say when you told him about that?
Said, great, and he'll be right down.
Okay. Did there come a time that day when you met Mr. Dahmer in person?
Yes, sir.
About when was that?
About 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And did that take place at National Ace Hardware?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall anything about Mr. Dahmer at that point?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. How did your contact with him occur? How did it take place?
Well, I was stocking paint thinner in our solvent aisle, and I happened to be putting out a case, and Mr. Dahmer just came around the corner.
And did he ask you a question?
He had asked if we had muriatic acid.
And what did you say at that
I
point?
said, "Oh, yes, are you the gentleman that had called earlier?"
And what did he say?
Yes, he was.
So did you get the muriatic acid for him?
Yes, then I told him that it would take a few minutes. I'm going to have to go downstairs and get the acid.
And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And did Mr. Dahmer purchase the 16 gallons of muriatic acid?
Yes, he did.
Do you remember if he purchased anything else?
A couple boxes of Soilax cleaning agent.
Anything else that you recall?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 74. Can you tell me what that is?
This is a sales receipt showing the purchase of gallons of acid, Soilax cleaner, and some gloves.
And is that dated?
Yes, it is.
What date appears on it?
July 20th of 91.
And is there a time on it?
12/21.
And is that the sort of document kept in the ordinary course of National Ace hardware business?
Yes, it is.
Would that be one that would go to, would that receipt in State's Exhibit number 74 be one that would actually go to the customer, or is that one that you would keep for store records?
This would be a copy similar to what the customer would take home with them.
Okay. And can you tell that that's the receipt that was given to Mr. Dahmer?
Yes, I can.
How can you tell that?
16 gallons of muriatic acid.
Did you sell 16 gallons of muriatic acid to anybody else on July 20th, 1991?
No, sir.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 73. Can you tell me what that is?
Also a receipt showing the purchase of acid, Soilax, and gloves.
And does that appear to be the original receipt that would have been given to the customer at that time?
Yes, sir.
The timeline further unravels with alleged victim Jeremiah Weinberger's case, allegedly killed on July 7th or 8th, before the Blue Barrel was even purchased. In the confession, Jeff claims he used the Blue Barrel for Weinberger on July 7th or 8th, 1991, days before he bought it. How could two bodies fit in a small apartment without odor? The timeline reveals June 30th, 1991, Matt Turner was allegedly killed. Jeff claims he placed the head in the freezer and the body in the 57-gallon Blue Barrel. On July 7th or 8th, Jeremiah Weinberger allegedly killed. Jeff claims he placed the head in the freezer and the body in the 57-gallon Blue Barrel. July 12th, Jeff buys the Blue Barrel. July 15th, Oliver Lacey allegedly killed. July 19th, Joseph Braidhoft allegedly killed. July 20th, acid purchased. In the confession, Jeff also claims that Oliver Lacey's head was placed in a box and stored at the bottom of the refrigerator, while the heart was put in the freezer for future consumption. Notice once more how the confession asserts that Lacey's fingerprints were identified. Vernell Bass, Jeff's neighbor, recounts in his book Across the Hall how he visited Jeff's apartment unhindered and saw the Blue Barrel was empty. Vernell writes, "When I knocked on the doors, it didn't take long to see his peephole darken, and then he opened the door. I stepped inside and walked over to his small kitchen table with the 2 bags and sat them down. As I stood there, I noticed a large 4.5-foot, 57-gallon blue plastic barrel. It was shaped differently from the ones I saw before, and it was sitting in front of the freezer in the center of the small kitchen, and the lid on it was sealed. I stepped in front of the barrel and shook it to see if anything was inside. It was empty." How could 4 bodies decompose for days and weeks without emitting any odor detectable to those nearby? Especially Vernell. Doesn't it all seem rather absurd? Adding to the intrigue, Sopa Princewill, manager of the Oxford Apartments, was also invited into Jeff's apartment unhindered. Remarkably, Jeff even permitted Princewill to examine his closet, where, according to sensationalist reports, the remains of Curtis Strotter's hands and genitals were allegedly kept. Join us next time as we peel back more layers of this bizarre puzzle. Sopa Princewill's court testimony will reveal that, contrary to expectations, there was no foul odor in Jeff's apartment, despite the alleged horrors lurking inside. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us on this incredible investigation as we uncover the truth about Jeff Dahmer.